Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Briar Heart O2 YouTube channel. Today I have with me Jacob Licklider
Hello.
and Joey Morgan. Today we are discussing the next three stories in the Hex and Evelyn saga that I think we left off on Live 34 last time.
Yeet.
Yeah, so this
Yes.
time we're discussing Night Thoughts, The Settling, and No Man's Land.
Yes.
So, this is exciting, huh? Good stuff, right?
Brian,
Oh,
we're just
yeah.
waiting you to start squeeing over Night Thoughts.
All right,
mean,
let's
okay.
just
If I could just open before we dive right in, I do want to say I think once these stories started to figure out who Hex is, which was really like obviously the Harvest was a good setup and Dreamtime was really off with everything. From Live 34 onward, I think people really understood who Hex was and got a really good feel for where his story was going. So I mean, though I haven't heard anything past No Man's Land as of right now.
Joe, you're mostly correct. But we'll
Well,
talk about that story in the next video.
yeah, all I'm saying is that like I feel like once they had a strong feel for Hex's character, then the story started to get really strong, and so I think all three stories here today are quite good.
All right, so we're gonna just jump right into my favorite of all three of these, Night Thoughts. Night Thoughts. It's my favorite Big Finish audio ever. I love it to bits, and I really don't have anything more to say than that because I just love it, and that's it.
Okay. Well, I have a
Uh,
few words. I think that we should probably discuss. Topics to discuss. I think one thing that no one talks about as much, oddly enough, for audio dramas, is the sound design and music cues. And in Night Thoughts, they're perfectly paired with the acting decisions, just to sort of give you that feeling like you're transported to the house in the middle of the woods with the island. I know it's technically an island, but it also feels like they're in the middle of a wood. With the bunny and the creepy little girl and the giant bear and the Dr. Ace and Hex. And I think that's just something. Ed Salt is the guy who I'm pretty sure Ed Salt directed this one. And he's more primarily known for doing quite a bit of the Bernie Summerfield single releases, and it's really nice. Someone fact check me and make sure I have the director right, please.
I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy to fact
Brian?
check.
I'm
So-
too lazy to do that as well.
So we'll just assume Ed Salt. Although I have to agree, I think the sound design here perfectly matches all the acting here and the script. I think the story itself is very vivid. And I think
It's Gary Russell. It's Gary Russell who directs it, and which is odd because it doesn't feel like Gary Russell's directing it. It feels just sort of.
I think the script really lends itself to the story. It's not so much any of the initial recordings around it. You know, it comes entirely from the script and the sound design, and just being so vivid. I love the limited cast of this story specifically because anything with a limited cast, I just gush all over. Because it really does give you time to know the characters and every single person here, so that you really feel for everything that happens to them. It's a really strong story to go along with it and great concepts. And yeah, I don't think there's much to say about Night Thoughts that hasn't been said already. It's just a phenomenal story.
I just thought of something.
Okay.
I like how very open for interpretation this story is, because it is that. Like because it's on audio, not everything is happening clearly, and there's some bits of it which you can interpret in different ways, like the fucking ending.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
what was that Happy the rabbit, or was that the sister?
Yeah. Not
Like,
everything is fully explained by the end of the story, and I quite enjoy that. I think what happens far too much in Doctor Who is that everything gets over explained. So like something that could have been explained away as a really cool ghost story, like Night Thoughts here, is sometimes over explained as like, oh, it's this alien race that we all know, and or it's this alien race that the Doctor has encountered before, and it just kind of takes away that atmosphere there. So that's something that's kept very alive throughout Night Thoughts. So I enjoy that a lot.
in fact, the
Um,
the doctor even says there isn't solution. He's only got a couple theories, and he's not entirely sure they're right because there are facts throughout the story that disprove those theories.
Yeah, yeah, and I absolutely love McCoy's performance in this. It's very gothic. I think just very philosophic. He's pondering a lot throughout this because he's not entirely sure what's going on, just as much as the audience or the characters within it don't know what's going on. And so I really do enjoy that, and I think McCoy plays very well to McCoy's strengths.
Also,
for as dark a story as this. Sorry.
Also, I feel like the ending needs mentioned. It's so fucking good and horrifying.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember what cliffhanger it is, but I want to say it's the part 3 cliffhanger, if I'm not mistaken, that plays on my absolute worst fear. That just legitimately horrifies me whenever it's done in a Doctor Who story. It was done in Goth Opera. One of the things that made me put down the book and stop reading at times. And then also in this, someone being buried alive. I absolutely find that a horrifying concept, and they do that very well in this. I think,
that's right. I think that's the part 3 cliffhanger.
Yeah, I want to say it's the part 3 cliffhanger, and just that thought hanging with you as the story bleeds out. It's not quite a big bombastic cliffhanger, but they kind of let that thought settle with you before, because I think the end of the cliffhanger is just them digging up the grave and then reacting to what's inside. So it's not like this big jump scare sort of big sound design, rape your ears sort of thing.
Like,
it's just a
like
thought.
Scherzo or Scherzo or however you pronounce
Scherzo. It's Scherzo.
Yeah, exactly.
Scherzo's the way it's pronounced. Can you guys hear me?
It's just
a quick sound. Okay, because I was having issues.
Yeah.
I think I resolved them.
But I like those really dark, deep thoughts, night thoughts, one could call them, that just sort of creep into your head throughout this, and it's very, very vivid, very dark, and I absolutely adore it.
I'd also argue what's interesting is that this sort of continues this sort of theme of experimentation. Like, just there's this consistent themes of these projects that have been isolated that are almost immoral, sort of tying really nicely into the Forge arc. Like, there's no physical connection to the Forge arc in this one, but that going beyond science is just sort of here. It's this theme that just sort of permeates a lot of this release, and a lot of the releases up and through to Gods and Monsters.
Also, I've got to make mention of the score because I'm a big 1 to 100 Gary Russell era score weeb. The score to this one, I think it's shared with Scaredy Cat, is really fucking good and suits the story really well.
Was it really the same thing as? Is it the same as Scaredy Cat?
Either that or it's very similar, and it works really well. But yeah, anything else to say on Night Thoughts, lads?
I always wonder what it would be like if Hex wasn't in this story.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was planned for
to be
one of the later seasons until Doctor Who got canceled.
Yeah, it's weird. I also think that Hex and Ace really start to play off each other very nicely here. It's where you get sort of rapport. This hint of almost hints of unrequited love between Hex and Ace.
Yeah. I do quite like that you could have done something like their relationship here in Live 34, but they were too separated at that point to do such a thing. So I do like that Hex's character has developed enough that he could play so casually off of Ace and the Doctor. And that could have, like I said, been done in Live 34, but none of them were really interacting enough to accomplish that. So I like that that's played on a lot here.
Also, am I the only one who's kind of glad it ended up being an audio instead of a TV story? They would have had to tone it down a lot for TV.
What season was it planned for?
I think
27.
27
really?
Or 28. Yeah.
27 or 28. It was turned in around the time they were preparing season 27. It wasn't confirmed to be part of that season, but
okay. So wait, this is the first time I'm ever hearing of it being a TV story, actually.
Oh yeah.
Was it adapted by the same guy that originally wrote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Edward
cool.
Young.
I enjoy that a lot. That's good.
I mean, and what's interesting is like we're right at the end of Big Finish's we can go full dark and creepy period almost.
Yeah, before they got ass raped by the BBC.
Which is funny because they in the McCoy era, in some of the Hexers, they still go full dark. Like that doesn't ever quite go away. But there is sort of a tonal shift if it happens more sporadically because we have a potentially new audience.
Yeah, Doctor
Going
Who's
on.
back on TV, so you
Yeah,
can't be as R-rated with it.
Yeah.
Which is
Oh,
kind
how
of a
we will
shame.
miss the
'Cause
days.
I really like the dark stuff that they get up to here.
It's a Big Finish up to this point. I think had a very New Adventures inspired tone, because it was very much coming off of the New Adventures as inspiration. I feel, so
At least for
so
7,
you could. So that dark and very much more adult tone carried over into Big Finish and kind of got dropped, obviously, as the BBC became more involved with what Big Finish was doing and as the new series started up.
When the BBC is
So-
just like, we care again. Stop doing what's good.
Exactly, and this is a more deep-seated argument than something to be smashed into the Hex discussion, but it's part of
Yeah.
my hate. It's part of my hatred of the BBC just constantly, just only ever needing Doctor Who when it's making them money, i.e., the BBC books with the Eighth Doctor and Big Finish once the new series came back.
So are you saying? Oh, right, because they took the 8th Doctors and were like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that the books are bad because of that. I'm just saying the BBC only cares about Doctor Who when it's making them money.
I was gonna say because I know Brian is a staunch defender of the 8th Doctor books.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're bad books. I mean, I'm sure
like
I'm
the
sure a
idea-
lot of them are, but you know.
See,
whatever.
this is again, it's a little off topic here, but this is the last thing I'll say about the Eighth Doctor Adventures for this video, is those books, I like them because they feel more like the TV stuff than the Big Finish stuff does, which when I was little was what I wanted from the Eighth Doctor. So that's why I like the EDAs so much.
Fair. To each his own.
Anyway, so that's Night Thought. I think we've splooged over it enough.
Yeet.
So let's
Oh,
move.
go buy it. It's only $2.99 on the Big Finish website.
That it is.
Oh yeah, I'm lucky enough to have a CD copy of it now.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into the settling.
Oh, I love the settling. Oh.
AKA, hey, did I mention pure historicals can work, BBC?
Yes, they're so good. Okay.
See, here's the thing. This isn't the only pure historical. So there's going to be a might problem because there's also the Angel of Skitarii, which is another pure historical with 7 Ace and Hex.
Is that
That
about
does sim-
Florence Nightingale?
Yeah.
Hell yeah! I did a research paper on her.
It also has Tolstoy in it.
Yay!
The author. Do you not know who Tolstoy is?
No.
Jacob, just stop. Don't.
Brian. War and Peace.
Don't turn this into an ambulance.
Oh,
thing
that guy.
from the long forgotten Eighth Doctor commentary.
What?
This is an ambulance.
No, not that. Brian.
I know what you're talking about.
I don't remember what we're talking about.
A story for another time. All right, so
It's an in-joke.
the settling. All right. God, I love the characters of this. Like the characters are just so fucking strong. Which I think always is what always worked about the pure historical. You know, consider things like Marco Polo and the Aztecs. What always worked about the pure historical was that as long as you have a competent enough writer who can not just write the main characters really well, but also write interesting historical figures around them, that's when the pure historical triumphs. When you care about every single person there. And as much as this is a strong story for specifically Ace and Hex developing their companionship, it's just a strong story. It's very, very down to earth, and I love the characters in it. I haven't revisited the story since I first listened to it, but I've been meaning to, as I find myself thinking about that world a lot, where one of these atmospheres like Marco Polo. I think Marco Polo is the prime example of how to do a character-driven pure historical, and this very much emulates that. And bringing it into one of my favorite doctors. I mean, Bill Hartnell, my second favorite doctor. McCoy's my third. But bringing it to another one of my favorite doctors and centering it around them, it's my bread and butter. Put simply.
I do have a problem with Hex in this story, I will admit.
Oh, is this the thing that we talked about that one time, Brian?
I think so, but I haven't listened to it in a while, so I might be a little rusty. But I thought that, well, I'll let Jacob say his nice things about it first, actually. So go ahead,
Well,
Jacob.
I want to say, I think it helps. This is the type of story that you give to Simon Guerrier, focused on character development.
Did he write it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I love the description on the Big Finish website plays into that. This is a historical by having the project description just be a letter from Oliver Cromwell. It's also, what's nice is it's taking a period of Doctor Who history that was only done, I think, once, and that was by like Mark Gatiss in the Roundheads, which I haven't read, so I can't comment on. But yeah, I think this is just a very important story for Hex and his development. Like, it's one of the times where he really sees just how tragic everything can be when you're with the Doctor.
All right, that's a good lead into what I'm about to say.
I hate you, Brian, because you're wrong about this.
All right, so I felt a bit like. So the story starts off with Hex being all edgy about how Seven's the manipulative dick he is, and
This isn't the only time that's going to come up. Like,
right. But I hope it's done better in the future. And it's obviously
Fuck off. Go on.
The entire story, I was waiting for some reason for Hex to be actually angry with the Doctor when it never came to quite full circle, because the story it's like a parallel plot thing going on. You've got Hex and Ace after everything in the TARDIS, and then you have what happened leading up to those TARDIS scenes. And Hex is really angry with the Doctor, but it's like he isn't particularly justified in being angry with the Doctor himself. Because if I remember correctly, the Doctor did everything is in his power to be like, Hex, don't fucking go the way that you want to go, because it's gonna end like shit. And Hex disobeyed him and got fucked up the ass anyway. How is that the Doctor's fault?
Okay, here's the thing, though. I think you're looking at it, and I'm going to be as fair-minded about this as possible. I think that you're looking at it as Hex's perspective on the Doctor being the absolute gospel. I think Hex's story in this, if we're gonna take your criticisms of the set face value, then consider that Hex is a very human character. He's arguably one of the most flawed companions that the Doctor has traveled with. He's
a nurse.
Exactly.
Who has lived a difficult life without a mother. Are we allowed to spoil that? Because they've already No, they haven't already spoiled it.
I know.
No, we'll leave it for later. We'll leave it for Project, when we talk about Project Destiny and a Death in the Family and Lurkers at Sunlight's Edge.
Okay. Anyway, so consider that Hex is a very human, troubled character, and like any human in this sort of situation, obviously nobody's going to be in the exact same situation, but consider the type of situation that Hex is in. No matter what mistakes he makes, he's going to want to blame it on someone. And no matter how he views it, or no matter how much the Doctor may try to sway him, this is always going to be the Doctor's fault in Hex's eyes. And I think that's something to really appreciate about the writing of Hex, is that he's not a perfect person, that he does still make those very human mistakes, like, first off, not listening to the Doctor, but also like taking his own mistakes and blaming it on someone else. I appreciate that a lot. That, yeah, it's not a perfectly thought out part of the plot, but it's not thought out on Hex's end mostly. And I think that may have been deliberate if, like I said, if we're going to take your criticisms at face value.
Well, but it's also like he's been through shit with the Doctor before at this point, and every time he's not listened, it's kind of ended in a shitty way for him. So, I mean, it's not like this is the first time this has happened.
Has Hex ever not listened to the Doctor up to this point?
I think so. I think he does it in Night Thoughts a couple times.
Yeah, the story right before it.
Probably Dreamtime too, but Dreamtime's
Dreamtime they were mostly separated, and Hex was pretty attached to the Doctor, like when he was separate from him.
This is really the first time.
Yeah,
there is.
So checkpoint, bitch.
Okay.
Okay, what are we gonna say now? Jesus Christ!
Someone continue.
I don't have anything left to say on it. I mean, it's a really good story, other than what I have an issue with. It's really atmospheric. The villain is another one of those villains that's so good that you actually hate him.
Ooh, also, I love the cliffhanger of the woman going into labor.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
I just absolutely adore that.
Doctor's just like, what?
I love it.
It's amazing. But yeah, it's a pretty bleak story. Oliver Cromwell's a dick. It is Oliver Cromwell, right?
Yes.
This isn't the only time he appears in Big Finish, is it? Oliver Cromwell? Did he appear in Doom Coalition, or was that someone working for Oliver Cromwell?
That was someone working for Oliver Cromwell.
Okay.
Yeah, he appeared in this, and he appeared in the Roundheads, and may or may not have appeared in the Settling. I mean, in Nightshade.
in the Settling.
In the Settling.
Oh yeah, because in Nightshade they only refer to him as Cromo, don't they?
Yeah.
God damn it. Fucking Mark Gatiss.
Uses him twice.
If it's the same Cromwell.
It is.
Hey, not confirmed. They only say Cromwell in that chapter. Speaking of this, chapter 4 of Nightshade, and that chapter is already up on my channel.
Yeah,
the
audiobook
of Nightshade.
1644.
Embraced by Joey Morgan. Go watch it on my channel.
Dude,
all right.
Dude. The only other Cromwell I can think of is Thomas Cromwell.
Mm-hmm.
And he died in 1540. Nightshade, that scene of Nightshade takes place in 1644. It has to be Oliver Cromwell.
Okay. Anyway.
All right. So you guys want to move on to the next story?
Yes.
No Man's Land.
Oh,
this one is
Jacob
brutal.
Can start now.
This one is. Am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
What? Yeah, what type am I allowed?
Whoa! Wait a minute. What the fuck type of question was that?
It was. It's been a long day, okay?
No, fuck off.
As I'm sure Joey and I have swore multiple times in this video.
Listen, this No Man's Land is a fucking brutal story. This is it's got Michael Cochrane playing the villain, and he is great. John Ainsworth is directing it, so it doesn't feel like Gary Russell. It takes place during and it takes place during World War I.
And Big Finish weaves get to wank all over it because it's part of the Forge arc.
Yes. It's the first one where we're actually sort of going to be like it's the first story in Hex's arc really that sets that we are going to start fighting the Forge.
I like it quite a bit.
All right.
I think it's also one of the few Doctor Who stories to really capture the feel of World War One really well.
Oh yeah, it's
Like-
it's brutal as hell. No mercy with this one. It's very
Brainwashing. That's the best part of the story. All the brainwashing bullshit.
I don't know. I think I do like that aspect, but I think
What are you talking about? That's like the main sci-fi element of the story.
yeah,
but
I
a
know,
lot
but,
of it's more
but
of a character
I know.
piece.
yeah, exactly. I'm not so much here for the sci-fi elements. I'm really
Hexes
in love with
this is where Hexes Arc starts to turn into a character piece with like a couple of exceptions that I don't want to talk about because they're horrible.
Who wrote the story?
Martin Day.
Martin Day.
Wait a minute, Jacob. If you're referring to the Dark Husband, I've heard that one's pretty good.
Fuck off. Whoever says that can
Okay.
fuck right off. They are lying to you. It is one of the worst things Big Finish have ever put out. And we'll talk more about it when we get there.
Okay.
So anyway, but like I was saying, I'm really not here for the sci-fi elements or any of the crazy Forge shit. I mean, I do appreciate the tie-in to the Forge, but I think what I like most is just the world building. It feels very, very real. Probably the most real I think any World War I setting has felt in a Doctor Who story. And
Tell you what,
yeah,
I did quite like that. He wasn't a general, I know that. Was he a captain? Like the only good soldier in the story who pulled through in the end? Who was he? What was his name? I can't remember. He was the one who was a pacifist, I think?
Was he the private?
No, not the private, the other one. Fuck, what was his name? Because the private's the one that has the moral struggle with the sleepwalking and killing people, right?
Yeah. Right.
I'm thinking of the other one who had like his legs injured or something. And he was the only survivor of the first attack at that church.
I think he was a captain. Was he the guy that questioned all about religion and what side God was on?
I think so, yeah.
I think that's the
he's
captain.
quite good. Yeah.
There's a lot of really good philosophical arguments here on just the nature of war and World War One in particular.
Yeah,
And
and
it
it really doesn't shy away from any of the heavier subjects, and I like that a lot.
And again, like all three stories are available $2.99 a piece on the Big Finish website. Shameless plug.
They're all really fucking good.
Indeed.
This one's a bit more of a serious one now that I think about it. Yeah.
Now that you weren't thinking at all, like in any of the 2 hours that you were listening to, you're like, hell, this story's pretty fucking dark. You didn't think that at any point. You're just like,
coming
this
off
is
of Night
fun.
Thoughts, where you literally have people getting their eyes scooped out.
I know, but like, come on, this isn't something I would casually watch like the fucking gunfighters. Like, no, I listen to this when I want to die.
That's how I.
Or you're doing a marathon.
No, exclusively when I want to die.
Yeah. I guess it is a pretty depressing story. But is it though?
I suppose so. I think it's kind of dark.
It's
I mean-
not depressing at all.
I mean, yeah, it's set in no man's land in a really dirty fucking hospital where people die every day, but the one awesome character is alive at the end, probably.
Possibly.
I don't fucking know. I think Ace asks, "Will he live, Doctor?" The cliche question about any good side character, and the Doctor goes, "Who the fuck knows? It's World War One."
Art and artist interpretation.
I would do my McCoy voice right now, but God, my throat is killing me right now.
So yeah, I guess it is depressing. Only the TARDIS team.
Brian, stop saying that. It's just tempting me to make fun of you more.
The TARDIS
I'm trying
team
my
and
hardest
one
not
other
to just
guy
laugh
make it out
about it.
alive, and that other guy isn't guaranteed a long life. But that twist with
mean-
the Forge is pretty aight, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the Forge is always great.
Because you're just like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening? Why is this happening? And then the Doctor says something about the Forge, and you're like,
It's these fuckers again.
It's these
I like to
guys
think
we
that that's
haven't seen since
I like to
Project
think that that's the
Lazarus.
exact sound that Brian made when he said that, and he was like,
That's what I said when I heard it.
No. I like to think that that's what actually happened as you were listening to it.
Well, you'd be right. That's the sound I made when I first heard it. I was like, okay.
In this episode of the Hex discussion, we discovered that Brian is still Brian.
Wait, what? Now you're being a dumbass, Jacob. Brian, I'm requesting you stop this video now.
Shut it
Okay.
down. Shut it down.
So that's our slow discussion on No Man's Land. Well, overall, the stories on, feelings on the stories, like ranking and bullshit like that.
I gotta say, as much as I love No Man's Land, it's probably my least favorite of the three, and I'd say obviously Night Thoughts is the best. Overall, they're really solid stuff all around.
Yeah, that's the problem with these, is that they're all so good. I'm gonna have to agree with Joey.
I agree with Joey as well.
Yeah, to say you have a least favorite in this is like saying that like Genesis of the Daleks is like one of the weaker Terry Nation stories. It's like Terry Nation usually writes good stuff, but Genesis of the Daleks is good, and that Terry Nation has really good work most of the time. So it's not necessarily a bad thing in saying that No Man's Land is the weakest of this.
Which is funny, because Martin Day doesn't always have good stuff.
Indeed.
But yeah,
He wrote The Menagerie.
I think we actually ended up agreeing on our ranking of the stories last time too.
This never fucking happens. No, I don't think we agreed last time, did we?
It was
Oh, wait, yeah, we did.
Live
we
Journey
had to,
4 on
'cause-
top, followed by The Harvest, followed by Dreamtime.
Oh yeah, we did. Huh.
Yeah, Joey, I think you're thinking of the Evelyn discussion, the last Evelyn
Yeah,
discussion.
those things just end in fucking knife fights.
And the Salty Brian's.
Oh,
I was really salty that last one we did.
in case, so another shameless plug. Please go to my channel and watch the Evelyn discussions. The
I
whole
need to
reason
start
Brian.
linking your channels in the description. Holy
I link your channel every time you're on my channel, Brian. Why have you not been doing this for me the whole damn time?
I don't know. One of
He's
these
lazy.
One of these days, but one of these days soon, I'm gonna go back through all the videos you guys have been on and just link your channels.
Well, it's too
Link
fucking
my
late
blog,
now.
too.
Nobody's watching those now.
Says who? New subscribers to the channel might go back and watch some shit you don't know.
All right.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. We seem to have reached a slow point in this video. So, anything else you guys want to shamelessly plug?
Yeah, I have a couple of shameless plugs. First, check out Joey Morgan's YouTube channel for the Doctor Who novel adaptations. We are when is this going to be coming out, Brian?
Probably March 6th. Yeah, March 16th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brian,
You can-
why
you
do you
can-
always have to step on our releases?
What?
Is that our release?
That is the release for the Apocalypse trailer. Brian, I hate you so much.
I upload every Saturday.
Brian, novel adaptation shit always comes out on Saturdays.
And so does every
It's
other
okay.
fucking
It's okay.
video
It's
on the
okay.
planet.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. What can happen is, because this is coming out on the 16th, if you have not watched the trailer for Time Worm Apocalypse, Brian will link it in the description.
Yes, he will.
Yeah, probably.
Fuck you.
And then, check out my YouTube channel. I'll probably be somewhere in the middle of season 15 of my marathon, because I'm nearly done with the third series of Fourth Doctor Adventures, and after that, it's mostly season 15, and then season 4 and 7 of the Fourth Doctor Adventures. My marathon's a weird schedule.
Brian, cut Jacob off.
And follow my blog because I'm doing the Eighth Doctor books and PDAs like Brian is, but in
But he's
blog.
actually reviewing them and not giving a reaction. Anyway,
Yeah.
Joey, anything you want to add?
I think I mostly plugged everything I want to. Obviously, you know, my channel and all that good shit.
All right.
Especially follow me on Twitter because I'm pretty active over there. So
And of course, because I suppose Goldilocks War came out last week, even though we're recording this 2 weeks in advance. Go watch the first part, or go listen to the first part of the Goldilocks War, because that's out now, and I've been working for 4 years on it. So go listen to it. All right. Peace.
Yay.